It's exciting and nice to see you. Some of you I have started to meet many years ago, and some of you are new, so it's a good mixture. Yeah, and I'm looking forward. This is kind of the start of a series of Tuesday evenings where I will have this drop-in class where you can just continue what we are going to set in motion today. So what is it what we are going to explore? In the Tibetan tradition, it's sometimes called the nature of mind. So what I would like to explore with you starting today is the nature of consciousness, the nature of your essence. So using awareness, using attention, and turning it around to that which is attentive, that which is aware. And in one way, this is really, really simple. But on the other hand, because it's unfamiliar for us, we are so identified with the content of our experience. We are identified and focused and fascinated by thoughts, feelings, sounds, sensations, that there is not much curiosity for the space within all this, within which all this comes and goes. And it does not sound much, awareness of awareness, or mind becoming aware of itself. But as all mystic traditions tell us, that is really the heart not only of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So I hope so the meditation today and what we're going to share, and then also on Tuesdays, that we all become curious about making this little shift of what is aware. Almost like turning around the eyes and looking into the background. Shifting your sense of who you are from the content, thoughts, feelings, sensations, to something bigger. Actually something vast, something boundaryless, which not only in the Tibetan tradition, but in all mystical traditions, mystic traditions, is often described in being in the nature of love. So what the invitation is to connect with that stillness within you, which then is being discovered not only something within you, but all pervasive. So shifting into that connectedness, into that openness, again and again. So that openness, that connectedness which sometimes breaks into your life when you are by the beach, or when you are just, when you feel, and maybe you would put other words onto it, when you feel you are in the presence of the divine. Something where you are speechless, where you are like, and that is of course a humbling experience for me, to try to share something with you where we become speechless. It's very humbling to share something with each other, and it's something you can only, it's something which opens when we are in relationship, when we're in a deep relationship. So it's a humbling experience to dare, as a group, to open to that, to the most precious, So let's just sit quietly. I will lead you a bit in a gentle way, so that we can shift a bit from the head into the body. So the first thing is, initially it might be helpful to close your eyes, and then just notice what happens when you start to pay a bit more attention to your inner life. And just notice what you bring with you. And part of that is that there's a sense of shifting from the head into the body. So I invite you to drop with your awareness into the body. And you can use your breath as a support. So with the in-breath, you slide, you shift into the body, down into your legs and feet, into your belly. And what is it what you find? And then with the out-breath, as best as you can, let go of unnecessary tension, of effort, of trying to feel better, of the control freak, the meditator. So breathing in, attending and befriending, and breathing out, opening, giving space. In particular, if you are a control meditator, it might be a bit strange for you to allow this moment to be what it is. But I invite you to give it a try. Softening and opening. And nothing is excluded. And of course, thoughts continue to arise. That's okay. There's space for that too. And it's only when you notice that you are really entangled, carried away by the stories. See if you can drop back into the body then, into the belly, into your hands, resting with the breath. Most important aspect is friendliness, really a profound friendliness. Yes, this is how I feel just now. This is what I think. Let it be okay. Yes, this too. Let it be okay. And if there's some discomfort arising, or emotional or physical discomfort. What we explore here is what happens if you allow that, if you just give space, as if you are the sky, giving space to a dark cloud. Breathing, attending, befriending. Breathing out, letting go. So there's the content of your experience. Sensations, pleasant or unpleasant. Sounds. Your thoughts. And the content of your experience is changing, flowing, moving. And the simple instruction here is to let it be as it is. To let it be exactly as it is. To surrender. And then there is something else. So even if your mind is somewhat agitated, or you feel tired, or there is also stillness, isn't there? There is also vastness, isn't there? So if you listen with your whole body to that stillness, without the need to become still. Hear this primordial stillness, the spacious presence. So what happens within you when I use these words? And then when you get caught up or entangled in the stories, in the inner dialogue, you drop back into your hands, into your belly. And then opening again like the sky. And listen to the stillness which we share. It's like a field which arises when we sit quietly together, protected by the teachings of the Buddha, protected by the spirit of friendliness. And you bring yourself along into that space, into that shared space. Beneath, beyond, pervading your experience, there's peace. And it's good enough if you have just a short glimpse. Beneath, beyond, pervading your experience, there's peace. dropping back, returning and resting. And then bathing with your whole body, from the toes to the top of your head, in presence, in stillness. Today, and then continue in the drop-in class on Tuesdays. I would like to start with exploring kind of 4 steps which I found to be helpful in this exploration of awareness. Awareness of awareness. And the first I want to explore with you, talk a bit about it, also continue that exploration as a kind of entry protocol, some kind of conditions and preparation practices which are supportive for us to make that shift, that shift of identity from the content of your experience to the context, from the small mini-me to who you really are. So that's that shift of awakening. And in the Tibetan tradition, we have a lot of those preparation practices, preliminary practices, kind of things you do to get ready. And what is very important is that it is something which makes sense for us, which really touches us and opens us, and which something we find helpful. So I'm sure those of you who have a kind of daily practice, you have already some kind of rituals to get ready. kind of to slow down. Maybe you have a particular place. Maybe you like to do some devotional practices. Maybe you take refuge or you cultivate an intention. So all these are kind of, one shifts gear. Yeah, one shifts gear. And I think it's very helpful to have a bit of a toolbox there, and to find out, so what is it what makes you soften, slowing down, and what prevents you from doing it. So one example of this kind of practice is, I didn't do it this time, but probably I will sometimes introduce that, is to call upon the presence of a master, a teacher, a mentor, someone who embodies for you friendliness and peace and wisdom. So it's quite easy in this place to connect with that devotional aspect. The question is it helpful for you? So is it helpful for you to recall the presence of Jesus, or the protective angel, or the Dalai Lama, or a psychotherapist, or a mentor, or a grandfather? So we will explore that a bit. If you can open that door, it's a bit strange. Of course, from your culture, you don't know this kind of devotional practices. I think many of you didn't pray to Jesus in the night together with your parents. Maybe some of you, but so it's new. But I would like to share that as a possibility for you while we go along. Because it's so supportive to feel that you're not alone. Particularly in what we need to do in this work, we need to go beyond, we need to go into the unknown. It's like a little child which needs to go into the unknown. And it's unknown for you what we are exploring here. We're exploring, in one way, we are exploring the space which opens when that what you think dies. When that what you think you are dies. So it's a bit of a death process. This awareness of awareness meditation is a bit of a death process. So, and then we are there, we are standing there in front of the unknown. And it's scary. And the mini-me freaks out. The mini-me does not want to go there. And it comes up with all kinds of excuses. So to do that step, it's a bit like a little child. It helps if the Dalai Lama is standing there and is taking your hand and is like, okay, I go with you. I can let go. I can die. So that's the first, the entry protocol. The second is the second step, in a way. I mean, they are not like necessarily sequential, but let's start like that. The second step in this exploration is to recognize awareness. So what do I mean with that? Recognize awareness. Recognize the nature of your mind. So that's what we is there something we can say about that, what we are supposed to recognize? And what can we say? What does the tradition say? How can this transmission happen for you? That recognition, which is so close and so easy and so effortless, but nevertheless so easy to miss, or so easy not to appreciate, so easy to question. Who am I? Who am I? Or particularly if we have a sense that we have, particularly if you have a strong sense of the developmental model that in order to recognize awareness, I need to have like 15 years of practice and have thus and so on and so on. Particularly that can be a big obstacle. So I will try and fail, but so this is one thing I want to say. You don't give up on that. You don't give up on that. This is the precious. To recognize awareness, to recognize primordial consciousness, to recognize ultimate bodhicitta, to recognize your Buddha nature, to recognize the deathless, or as Ajahn Chah, it's from the Thai forest tradition, the one who knows. This is really like the point where all the mystic traditions meet, all the different Buddhist lineages who are so, on the surface they seem to be so different, but what they all transmit is the mystic experience, the experience of the one who knows. So what does Ajahn Chah mean when he says the one who knows? That's what we need to, this is what you need to get. The problem is that your conceptual mind is not going to understand it, but nevertheless you can get it. Yes?
Isn't that to do with surrendering?
Yes. That could be one word. Yeah. So part of this is sometimes our intellect is very helpful also in this work, because there is our intellect can bring us, our thinking can bring us to that point where we have to let go of thinking. So we can think our way to the point of letting go of thinking, but then to do that step, and that's going to happen for you at the death process. All the things, the memories and your knowledge and who you are and your roles and your gender, and also the spiritual knowledge we have, all that will disintegrate, all that will dissolve. Yeah? So it's actually a good, it's one of the meditation we can do in one of the Tuesdays. It's like to guide you through the death process, and then just to experience yourself, at least like on an imaginative level, who am I when all this is gone? And it's going to be gone because your conceptual mind at one point in the death process will not be able to hold it anymore. So what is so the recognition of awareness, and awareness is just one placeholder. So you can of course probably you have your own words. The recognition of, I mentioned some of the words: the ever-present witness, the ground, primordial consciousness, the deathless, the one who knows. Many different words. So that's the second step. The third step is we also need to look at the appearances, the content of awareness. So in that third step, and this is something we start to explore in our meditations also, is that we start to see, wow, everything which I experience is an appearance in awareness. Ponder that. And after the break, I will bring that also up in our meditation. What you hear now is an appearance in awareness. What you see is an appearance in awareness. You can't get out of your mind to look behind. Like, if I look quickly, can I look outside of my mind? Everything what you experience now, which seems to be in a world out there, is an appearance in awareness. This is an important reflection, and one has to kind of, because particularly with open eyes, we have so strong and immediately that sense that we are looking at a world out there, which is independent from us. And it's not like that. And that's not you can also follow a more neuropsychological argument there. So, appearances. All that is in this now in our exploration here. It falls into the category appearance. All your experiences. That's sensations in your body. Thoughts, sounds, smell, taste. Yeah. Particularly, of course, we are so much identified and fused with the conceptual mind. So that is, all of that is an appearance in awareness, an appearance in consciousness. So, in the meditation, the recognition of awareness, I already said that while we were meditating, is the instruction what to do with these appearances is very simple. It's very simple in the awareness meditation. It's just, so the instruction is, allow it to be as it is. That's it. So it's kind of, what should I do with the appearances? What should I do with the appearances? Nothing. And that's difficult for us, of course, because we are coming from a doing culture, from a fixing culture, from a controlling culture. So particularly if there's unpleasant stuff happening, and of course there's always unpleasant stuff happening because life is suffering. So we are sitting here quietly in a safe place and we suffer, and it's going to be worse the longer we sit. And there's no way. Life is suffering, so that's something we need to get down. Yeah? It sucks. It sucks to have a body and you can do yoga for 200 years. So it's going to suck. It's going to be better a bit, but we will also in this third step, of course, we also have to share a bit some methods, how, particularly in moments of intensity, because when the moment is very intensive, like in an anxiety attack, again, probably you need to go back to the entry protocol and do some practices, kind of, which makes it then possible at one point to say, yes, this is how it is. Oh, this is difficult for me. What should I do? What should I? Nothing. Just being with it. Loving it. Embracing it. Breathing into it. So that's, and I know from my own journey and still, how much I need to be reminded of it. That's why I'm sitting here. I'm constantly reminding myself that yes, this is how it is quite often the best answer to an inner experience. Love, and love, like unconditional love, not like heartwarming romantic love, no, like this kind of, okay, this is how it is. So that's the second step. No, that's the third step. So entry protocol, recognizing of awareness, and then the third, appearances. So part of this third step is that we look into the nature of appearances and we will recognize that they are empty. You will get it, what I mean with that. So what I mean with empty is they are unfindable as something solid, real. And this is true for any phenomena which you get close to, no matter what it is. It could be an anxiety, it could be the stick. Yeah. So any phenomena. So now also in this approach now, this also the stick is an appearance in consciousness. Yeah. So, and any phenomena, the stick or your problem or whatever, closer you look, and that's called vipassana or vipassana, closer you look, less you find. Yeah? Farther you hold it, more stories you told, more solid it appears. But closer you look, so that, like if you look close, no, vipassana, you look close. So then you come to the atoms, yeah, and then you come to then already is 99% space, yeah, even if you use this 100 years old model of atoms, yeah. So, and then we look and we look. And then what do we find when we look closely? That's an interesting question. What do we find? Actually, quantum physics, well, some parts of quantum physics say what you find is consciousness. So that's called the unfindability of the appearances, the emptiness of the appearances. So if you, for example, in an experience of anxiety, if you would be able, after the entry protocol, calling upon support, grounding you in the body, so different ways, if you actually would start to explore the anxiety, you would start to see that you can't find it, that it is made up, that the problem is a construction. So, that's the third step, working with the appearances. The fourth step is to recognize the appearances and awareness as inseparable. So right now I talked about appearances and awareness as if they are two things. A bit the cloud sky metaphor. Yeah, and I'm going to come back to that metaphor a lot. So there's the sky, and that's unconditioned awareness, that's the freedom, that's the peace, yeah? And then there's the clouds. And the clouds is all these feelings and all these things which happen in our life where we imagine, we feel that they prevent us to experience the peace. So there is a kind of thinking, yeah, first I need to dissolve my depression, or my narcissistic wounding needs to be healed, or I need to first find the right boyfriend, or whatever. So there is a sense in us that something is wrong with the appearances, so they need to change first, and then I can experience the peace. And for a certain part of our journey, that kind of thinking makes sense, and it's okay. Yeah? But now in the fourth step, we start to explore, we start to experience how the appearances in your mind and awareness are not two different things. So they are the same stuff. They are not separate from each other. So the metaphor here, which you can use, and we can bring this also in our into our meditation, is the waves and the ocean. So the ocean is awareness, peace, stillness, oneness, and every wave is an anxiety, a problem, a sound. So out of awareness, out of the ocean of oneness, a wave forms, for example, the sense of I, and appears as being separate from the ocean, but it isn't separate. It's made from the same stuff. So where do you find the ocean? Where do you experience the ocean? In the waves. The waves are not separate from the ocean. The appearances are not separate from awareness. How does oneness shows itself? How does oneness reveals your? How does oneness, depending arising, if you want to use a more Buddhist word, how does oneness reveals itself to you in this moment? In the appearances. In your thoughts, in your feelings, in your experience as it is, just now. Where's the ocean? You can't get away from the ocean. So if that experience becomes a bit more stable, I think we can all have glimpses of it, but if it becomes stable, then really a profound peace, a profound relaxation starts to reveal itself. A profound fullness. In the Tibetan tradition, that is the practice of ultimate guru yoga. To experience this moment as the mandala of the Lama, the mandala of the Guru. Whatever arises is in the nature of freedom. So, and then in the last step, we are going to explore what is called in the Buddhist tradition the middle way. So the middle ways, I have to go a bit deeper at one point, but one of that exploration, or part of that exploration is to explore how, although everything is in the nature of awareness, everything is empty and unfindable, still, conventionally, it functions. It is being honored. It is being respected. So the conclusion is not, oh, it's all appearance and awareness, it's all empty, it's all unfindable, I don't care, I don't mind. Yep. It's all empty. Yeah? That's not the conclusion. Then something in this went wrong. And probably we will fall into that, because sometimes then it seems to be like that in your meditation. Okay, I can't find it, so why should I do psychotherapy? Because I can't find my anxiety. I can't find my narcissistic wound. Why should I work with it? Yeah. So, but that's not the experience of the middle way. The experience of the middle way is that in that freedom with how things are, in that peace with how things are, you actually connect with the creativity and with the passion and with the love to heal, to contribute, to make that dreamlike experience, that dreamlike suffering, to give your best into that. And it's strange, of course, because you're trying to save yourself and others which are not really existing, which are not findable as separate solid things. I have to read some stuff to you from the Prajnaparamita Sutras, because this is full of this kind of statements of the Buddha saying the Bodhisattva realizes the emptiness of himself or herself and all beings, and that's why he passionately works for the benefit of all. Something in that relaxation, in this kind of in that relaxation which happens when you experience experience the unfindability of the appearances in your awareness, something in that relaxation opens the best in you. In that relaxation, your creativity comes out, your passion to heal, to contribute, to give your best. You give your best and you give a shit. And to bring this together is it's humbling to talk about it. Makes me nervous to talk about it. Because it sounds so crazy. It's like a paradox. I contradict myself in one sentence. In the first part of the sentence, they say the appearances in your awareness, they are empty, they are unfindable. In the second part, give your best. But one thing is for sure, if you don't do the first part, you give up. If you don't do the first part, you give up. It's too much. Even the pain of one person is too much. So actually the only chance to be a passionate and like really using your life to make this place a better place is at the same time to see also the emptiness of the place. Otherwise it's too much. Your heart breaks. If you feel that there is a real person having real suffering and you are the real savior and the real person who needs to solve the real problems in this world, then our heart closes, and we get self-centered. We start to think about only ourselves, because that's like the best we can do. So what I try to describe is a bit this the unification of the wisdom part of the teachings and the method, the compassionate part of the teachings, the two wings, to bring them together. So these are the 4 steps. We have a break now. I just repeat them, and then I will come back to them. The first is the entry protocol. The second is the recognition of awareness. The third is seeing the appearances as empty. Seeing your experience as an appearance and awareness which is empty. The fourth is seeing appearances and awareness as inseparable. The ocean and waves. And the fifth is also all this is empty appearances within awareness, within consciousness. We honor it. We respect it. We give our best. The middle way. Okay, so let's have a break, and then I will lead another meditation, and then there will be some time for questions.